first, let's talk about sort of how you guys grew up and take us back to the very beginning.
Okay. I grew up in Montclair, New Jersey, which was a wonderful place to grow up. And I was born in Mountainside Hospital in 1937. I have one brother and one half-sister. And I love them both. And my brother is gone, but we sort of raised each other. After our mom died, he was 9 years old. You have to talk.
I was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is on the Hudson River across from Manhattan. Beautiful place even then. And then at the age of 7, I moved to Sao Paulo, Brazil with my parents and my favorite brother, Jack. And I stayed there till I was 14, and then I came back to Short Hills, New Jersey, which is a very affluent little community, and I led a privileged life ever since then.
Papa, I'm curious, I'm sure everyone else is. What was it like growing up in Brazil? Like, what was so different about Brazil?
It was fabulous for a couple of reasons. Since my father was an American executive living in Brazil, we had all sorts of cooks, nurses, servants, chauffeurs, and we belonged to a swim club, a tennis club, a golf club, bowling club. I even learned to dance at a dance club when I was 12 or something. I still can't dance, but I tried. I went to an American school also. We all had to take an hour Portuguese per day, and I was the best trained person, and I had to give up and do a speech in Portuguese to the whole school.
What were some of your favorite memories growing up?
My father made a doll's house for me, and it was during the war, and he made little furniture, and so he was looking for some cotton, and cotton was rationed because it all went to the war effort, and so he used my mother's sanitary pads just to stuff the mattresses, and I could put my dolls in there, and it was really nice. What I remember very vividly is we went to the farm. It was the Merrimans, and it was in Ohio, and so in the barn there were barn kittens born. My brother and I wanted to bring the kittens back, and so we were warned that they were wild cats, and so it didn't work out to bring wildcats back to Montclair, New Jersey. But we tried. Where'd
they go? What happened to them?
I have no idea.
Well, it's my turn. And living in New Jersey, the thing that most people like to do in the summer is take time off and go to what we call the shore.
Yeah.
Here we call it the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And we always went to the same cottage, which we rented for almost nothing, I guess. And we would stay there for like a month. My father would live at home, work in New York City, and take a train down to the shore. And those are great times because just going to the beach every day and swimming was so neat as a little guy.
Were you good at school, both of you guys? Were you?
I was good, yes. I was good until I hit geometry.
Yeah.
I figured I was very good at art. I was very good at art, and I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer in those days. But I don't think I was dedicated enough. You have to have a passion for something like that to have it really work.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 4.0 all the way through high school. And then I got to college, and my first day of college was interesting because I had 3 roommates in the same single room, and our dorm RA, I guess they call them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Organized a beer party for us. First day there. My parents just left on their car, and up in the mountains behind our dorm, there was a keg of beer, and there were the whole dorm that he supervised, maybe 15, 16 guys. We had a beer party. I got smashed drunk. I remember rolling soda down, picked up the cell phone, payphone, called my father, who gave the phone to my mother immediately. And I said, wow, this is the greatest goddamn thing I've ever been to. I love Lehigh University. Oh, this place is wonderful. And from then on, my grade point average went from 4 to 2 point, and then to 191. And I barely got out of college because I had a 191, and 190 was failing.
What were your first jobs?
I worked at a factory, and they didn't want to hire anybody with a high school education. And it was called Lane and Fink, and it made Dorothy Gray and Tussie products. And it was a assembly line. And did you ever work on an assembly line? You want to yell, stop! Just stop for 5 minutes so I can breathe. Doesn't stop. But you've seen that Lucy and Ethel thing?
Yeah.
They have to jam
With the
all
chocolates.
chocolates in their mouth.
And didn't you do some modeling in
I
New York
did.
City?
I did. I modeled in New York City on 7th Avenue for Rosalie McCreaney. The fashions were absolutely beautiful. Good Lord, I think I was 18 or 19.
Well, you were in a showroom. You were a showroom model.
I was
so
a showroom model. I had a great figure. I mean, I had a waist about this
Yeah,
big.
Mom, do you remember your measurements? Because Dad's talked about your measurements way back when. It's incredible.
35, 19, 36. or
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's 35, 19,
Your
36.
butt was way too small, though. We needed a 41 or 40.
So,
Papa, what was your first job?
Well, first job out of college, I had no job. I graduated from college with this wonderful GPA, which nobody would hire for sure. So I go home after college in June, no job, living with my parents, and I decided I was going to be a professional golfer, so I signed up for 2 or 3 tournaments, shot awful, figured out I couldn't do that. So around September, my father said, you don't have a job and you're living here, I'm gonna have to charge you rent. And it was $150 a month, which was a hell of a lot. And I said, oh. So the next day I went up to Madison, New Jersey, which was 20 minutes away, and I got a job as a salesman selling Fords. And I came home, picked up my father at the station. I said, Dad, I got a job. He says, what? I said, I'm selling Fords. You're selling Fords? I sent you to Lehigh to get an engineering degree for $75,000. You're going to sell Fords? The hell you are. Right.
Papa, when did you become so like fascinated and intrigued when it like comes to cars?
6 or 7. So when I lived in Brazil from 7 to 14, one of the things we used to do there for fun was drive about an hour to their beach, which was over a mountain down there. And it was a beach very much like Daytona Beach in Florida. You could have cars on it because it was so wide. And it would go 20, 30 miles with nobody, no houses, no swimmers, nobody. We had a 47 Chevrolet, so I must have been about 10 or 11. And my brother was 13 or 14, and my dad would say, hey, you guys want to take the car? And we'd just go down the beach.
How fun.
And I would drive, I think I was driving at the age of 10. And I think that kick-started the whole thing. That just, oh, that was so cool, even in a 47 Chevy.
What was your favorite decade that you guys grew up in?
I think the 40s and 50s, even we were the silent generations. That what we were called, the silent generation, because there was no war on at that time. No war, which was nice.
I think every decade for me has been the best. I don't think I've ever disliked any decade. I think the one we're in right now is exciting, challenging.
That's true. I think you can find the best in any generation. But you know what I miss? I miss Life magazine. I really do. Life magazine was a wonderful magazine because it kind of chronicled everything. I made paper dolls because that's why I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I would go through the pages of magazines because the colored ads were marvelous. And I would put Elizabeth Taylor on this, and then I would draw around her, you know, like a skirt and a top, and I thought I was quite good. And actually, they were quite real to me.
When TV came out for the first time, like, what were the big TV shows? What were the radio stations you guys listened to?
I loved programs that were fun. My favorite program, and my brother's too, we would each curl up in our own chair, and Saturday morning there was a program called Let's Pretend. And it was either fairy tales or something, and you closed your eyes, at least that's what I did. I think Dick did too. And we would imagine, and we never compared what we imagined with each other, but you know, it allowed you to just imagine something wonderful.
Like, let's fast forward to how you guys met. I know that we've heard the story, but we can't get enough of it. Take us back to the day.
Well, it was at strip club. And she was the best pole dancer of all. Oh, wait, maybe that was my first wife. I can't remember.
That's my mother.
Dad went to Lehigh. Jim Bevan was my date. He lived on my street when I was growing up. And I think he always had a crush on me, but I did not have a crush on him. But I wanted to get to Lehigh. And so he insisted on buying me, and you don't even know what these are, but you had big corsages, they're called mums. and I was wearing a dress because we didn't actually wear trousers then. And it was raining. So we were sitting at this football game, and I was getting soaking wet. So I went back to the fraternity house. And my dress was soaking wet, and so was I. So I was standing, you know, like with my legs out like this so that my dress wouldn't wrinkle when I tried it. And I was smoking then. So every time I would go to light a cigarette, this arm would come through. I don't know where it came from. And there would be a lighter. And so I would light my cigarette with that. And then if I smoked later, the arm came through again.
Now, in my defense, at the bar in the fraternity house with this lady all wet, all the girls were all wet. They were all trying to dry off. She made one important decision. She stood in front of a window.
Smart woman.
And it was very attractive to everybody, not just me. But I happened to have the Zippo lighter, so I got in there first.
Yeah, what was your first impression when you saw her? 'Cause I assume
I
that was
thought
the
she
first
was-
time you laid eyes
Are
on
you
her.
asking me?
Mhm.
I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. Couldn't keep my eyes off her.
Really?
Absolutely. Oh,
Oh.
that body and that smile, all those things. So I was working for Honeywell at the time, so I took the morning off in the office to start phoning all the banks in Montclair saying, I'd like to talk to Derry Hawkins. She was a teller. And I finally found the right bank, and they put me on hold for a while, and then I just asked her out.
It was the president of the bank's phone. And he said, Miss Hawkins, there is a phone call for you on my phone. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And I went trotting out of my teller's cage over to his phone. And it was Jim.
Ooh, Jim.
Do you remember, like, when you fell in love? Like, was it shortly after you first started dating? Because you guys got married how soon after you met?
18 months, I think.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I fell in love with her in front of the bar for the first day, so I'm out of this picture. You have to ask.
I do remember, I guess we'd been dating for a long time, and I just assumed that we were eventually going to get married. And so we decided we were going to go to Cape Cod. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a wonderful time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was very gradual falling in love, I think. Mm-hmm. For me it was, anyway. Because I had taken care of myself for so long. You know, my mother died when I was 12. And my father was a really nice man, but he just didn't understand how to be a father. And it was very scary for me to give up that independence, you know, and rely on someone else. Because I remember when we first got married and we're driving away. And I said, you're my husband. You're my husband. I was trying out the word. So it was sort of gradual, because I fall more in love all the time.
Papa, did you propose in a special way, or was it just sort of at dinner? Do you remember how you proposed?
Remember?
I just remember being in my apartment. I lived on the second floor of someone's house, and he did present me with a ring, but he was going to present it in a glass of champagne, and he was worried that I would swallow it.
Yeah.
Because I was a thirsty type person, and so I might have just swallowed the ring, and that would have been very hard to retrieve. And so I spent about an hour in there under the light. You know how the light comes right down on your diamond? And I was looking at it and thinking, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever had. But it was just me in the restroom.
So cute.
Why we decided to get married in the middle of winter in New Jersey, I have no idea.
What year was that, Derry?
1960. And the church was Union Congregational Church, and that was my family church. My father gave me $200 as my wedding gift, and that had to include my dress
And the minister.
and the minister and everything. My wedding dress, I think, was beautiful. It was very, very simple dress, but long. And then our reception was back at the Antrim's house, and Uncle Bob provided all the
Booze.
champagne.
Okay, and the cake?
Oh, the cake. Great-grandma, her traditional wedding cake was fruit cake. And so it rose about this high. And then they initiated me into the fraternity.
Something like that.
And I have a little key, you know, a Kappa Alpha key.
Gold, solid gold.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys able to take a honeymoon, or was that
Yes.
not? Where'd you guys
Yes, we
go?
did. We went up to Stowe, Vermont. We drove
In a Volkswagen.
in a little Volkswagen Bug. And as I said, we had never skied before. But Papa insisted this would be a wonderful honeymoon. And so I borrowed all the clothes from friends. Ski pants, you know, which were a little baggy at the time. They weren't very fashionable looking. At least mine weren't.
I had the same clothes on. So.
And I was afraid to fall, and he fell a lot. And so we would start off in the morning, and I wouldn't see him until hours later because he was probably in some snowdrift somewhere.
So awful.
How did you guys first find out you were pregnant?
Well, I knew immediately. I just knew.
And you're talking about the day of conception?
No,
Oh.
no, that was pure pleasure. That was very nice.
Oh, no, I mean that didn't. I have to agree, but I think first of all it came a little fast for us. We weren't ready for that.
No, we weren't.
It wasn't as if we were trying, you know, for have a first one. It just
No, and every time I crossed my eyes, I got pregnant again.
Fast forward to having all of your kids, what were some of the traditions that you guys would keep going? What were some of the things that you guys did as a family together?
always dinner together.
Yeah, we always had. Yeah, we always had as many meals together as we could. Because
Yeah, go ahead.
I felt it was very important to find out, you know, to find out from your children what they're doing and where they are in life.
Dad, do you remember what you would make? We always knew Mom was sick because you would make certain dinners for the three of us.
I
And
do.
do you remember what you made?
No.
The waffles, and he'd do his soft-boiled eggs.
French toast? Did I make French toast?
Maybe French toast.
Those are great dinners. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Like, Mom's sick! We're having waffles!
So traditions, Christmas time we always left a plate of cookies, because I made cookies, out for Santa and a glass of milk. And then Robin told me later that they would go into the top of my closet and look at the presents and then put them back.
I want you guys to kind of talk about each kid. How are they similar? How are they different? What were their little personalities like growing up?
I mean, Robin was obviously our oldest, and she was my experiment. Sorry, honey. But she was, because I was testing out everything. She was my first baby. She was adorable, number one. She really was. And I tried out all my lullabies on her, because I love to sing. I really do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to be a mother. And so that was learning how to be a mother.
And didn't Mom go home in the back of the
Porsche.
car in a box or something?
Porsches and well, they still do. They have sort of little jump seats, but if you flatten them down, the whole area behind is only this big. So I think we just bundled Robin up and threw her in the back.
No, we did not. She was in a box.
Well, okay.
She was in a box, sweetheart.
All right.
And then Uncle Mike, he was very hungry. He was very, very hungry. He would nurse a lot. He was just so cute. He really was adorable. And I remember he had the most beautiful hair. You had very, very corn silk hair. And so I put a bow in it one time. It was when we lived in Pittsburgh. And the minister came to call. And he said, "Oh, is this your adorable girl?" And I said, "No, it's my adorable boy." Let's see, you grew up in New York, New
Yeah.
York State. Oh, that's when we lived in the converted barn. And Uncle Dave was born in Pittsburgh. Uncle Dave was very argumentative, and I thought he should probably be a lawyer because
Yeah, he was.
I would try to reason with him to get in the car and go wherever we're going.
It was
And
obnoxious.
I thought later, why did I just pick him up by the elbows and stick him in the car? Because I tried to reason with him. But adorable. And so your mom would kind of pretend he was a puppet. Remember when you used to sit him on your lap?
We did talent shows for you guys.
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
I mean, it was wonderful growing up with these three kids. They really were so much fun.
What's some of the best advice, or what's a tradition that you would like carried on to your great-grandchildren?
Stay together as one family.
Mm-hmm.
Try not to sever any of those ties, regardless of what they're up to or what they've just done. The bloodline is so important, and the family experience is so cherished for us.
It is for us.
Yeah.
With divorce rates climbing,
Mhm.
how did you guys keep your marriage going?
One of you has to compromise a lot.
Yeah, marriage is a compromise.
Yeah, 100%.
It is.
And it has to be somewhat automatic. You can't say, well, let me think about that and I'll get back to you tomorrow. You know, it has to come instinctively.
And I think marriage is not easy. I think you have to try, you have to compromise, and you have to say, you know, to yourself, I don't particularly like this person right now, but I do love this person. And so it's very important to either to like or love, because it's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, but I can honestly tell you that in all these years, 56, 57 years, never ever thought about a divorce. Never. No concept of doing that or going there.
I think there's certain glue that holds you together, if you're lucky.
What do you guys love the most about each other?
What do you think?
I'm thinking. Well, it's right there, you know, her laugh, her smile, her attitude is so invigorated and so nice to wake up to. She really wakes up angry or sad. Or. I looked at you today, it was like 6:30 and you're semi-sleeping, but you're smiling.
Really?
Yeah, and that's nice to have, you know.
What I love about Papa is that he is so steady. You know, I can depend on him. I really can depend on him. And that to me is terribly important, because I grew up with a lot of anxiety about where I was going to go and who I was going to be with and everything. But he's so steady and he's so reliable. And I really fall in love with him more all the time. I'm going to get emotional too.
He's so steady, what you said about Dad.
He is. He really is.
Such a rock. It's so steady. He is in this till death do you part. He's in it forever.
Yeah.
Thank you, because you're all part of our lives, and you're part of the fabric of our lives.